Hi, I'm David Miller from the University of Florida, and I'm here today with Next Generation Assessment. And I am a professor in research and evaluation methods, and also a school director of human development and organizational studies in education. And as a co-host, I'm pleased that we are going to be talking today about the accreditor's perspective on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Thanks, David, and I'm Tammie Cumming. I'm the Associate Provost for Institutional Effectiveness at Brooklyn College of the City University of New York. And it's such an honor to welcome back Dr. Belle Wheelan from the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, today I'm especially pleased to have you here, of course, because I've been working with SACSCOC for quite a while at the University of Florida. In fact, directed one of the development of their last QEP. So, but today's questions, let me start with, how is SACSCOC addressing diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Thank you, David. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all your efforts in the reaffirmation process at the university. We do not have specific standards in our region on DEI. This is a nomenclature that has evolved since our last standards review. We review standards every 5 years, and we last reviewed them in 2017. So we're about to begin the review process for updating or revising or adding new standards. However, we have started asking our institutions to disaggregate their data as far as student achievement is concerned. And so this is one way that we're getting at the point that it is important that all students succeed and not just look at an institutional figure that talks about total number of completers, but that we actually ask institutions to break it down by gender, by ethnicity, by socioeconomic level, by whatever means they want, but to take a deeper dive into the data to see how well each of their student groups are doing. I am at our March Executive Council meeting taking to the council, however, the topic of DEI, and do we need to be more specific in what we do? We have standards that talk about providing safe environments for our students, and that would include somehow being free from racial strife on campus or gender discrimination or things like that. We are also responsible for monitoring Title IX or sexual harassment complaints. And so there's some things within our existing standards that can be used, if you will, to show that we're looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion, but specific standards with that wording do not currently exist. We did not have a standard on diversity at all until I got here in 2005. And our board has revised that statement to include the fact that we appreciate diversity of all kinds, whether it's religious or gender or sexual orientation or geography, or you pick it. And we want to make sure that all students feel welcome at the institutions in which they enroll. But a specific standard that talks about number of faculty or percentage of students or specific activities and student support areas that would indicate, a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion is currently not there.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like that work's about to begin, and it certainly is a good thing that as you talk about this, that discussion of how it does fit together with many other things that you're doing and many other standards that you already have on the books. So it sounds like you at least have a good start on that process of thinking about these issues.
Well, I'm hopeful that it will be a rich discussion. And that it will result in specific standards. I have been in communication with other accreditors across the country, and they have gone through revisions or are currently going through revisions of their standards. So timing is everything, as they say. And most of them do have specific standards on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So on this end, we're kind of late to the game of having that kind of specificity. But I think we've always had a focus to ensure that, that there is diversity, there is equity, there is inclusion in all areas of the institution, from the board, to up to the custodians, that everybody be considered. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I had a chance to attend the meeting with the call for comments that Chia held back in August. And it seems like most of the accreditors really are paying attention. I think it's on the scope of the national landscape of conversation for student success. And you're talking about, regrouping and having this conversation. I think you said in March upcoming.
Right.
What do you think how do you think that the institutions that fall under your accreditation will react to this potential change?
It will be interesting. I have as many different viewpoints as I have institutions. CHIA standards have just been finalized and approved by their board, and we are not in the cycle this year for recognition by CHIA. So we have not had to respond to that standard yet. So that's why I said earlier, timing is everything. We're kind of in the middle of all of it. I think our institutions, by and large, are already focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, some farther along than others. Some of it is cultural within the institution. This past year and a half, there's been so much conversation with George Floyd's murder and all the other kinds of things that institutions haven't had a choice but to be responsive, to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think most of them have risen to the occasion. Some of them have been proactive, others have been reactive. But the reality is they're all faced with the fact that something's got to be done. The other piece that's driving this is the demography of potential students coming in, or the demographics of students coming in. There are many more minority students of high school age, coming into colleges. And so if colleges want to stay open and have robust enrollments, then they're going to focus on the diversity of their student bodies. And with that comes the diversity of their faculty and staff. In order for students to feel comfortable on campus and to feel that there's someone on whom they can call and go talk with when, things are going on. So society is moving in that direction, and our institutions are coming, some of them kicking and screaming, but they are coming out of necessity, if nothing else. I like to think they're doing it because it's the right thing to do, but I'll take it any way I can get it.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to hear that you're at least anticipating some interesting discussions and a lot of things that are going to be coming our way. I know that as part of SACS myself, I hear those same kinds as you talk about, discussions with varying opinions, and so it'll be an interesting process to look at this as we enter this new phase.
Yeah, well, this is still the South, and there are still some vestiges of Old South that still live. Other parts of the country are dealing with Asian students and hatred against them. There are other parts dealing with Jewish students and hatred against them. I mean, so every part of the country has a different focus, if you will, or focus on that has driven this conversation. But I think we're all responding to it.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's about a fair educational system.
Exactly.
And once the students are admitted, the institution's commitment to helping them successfully complete and have more successful student outcomes. That's where we're all trying to get with our students. Make it better for them.
Mm-hmm. And in the end, as you say, it'll be in part a reaction to the demographics out there. I know that here in Florida, we're certainly seeing a large shift in the demographics, particularly in South Florida, where we're seeing a lot of Hispanic growth. And so we expect to see a lot of that.
Yeah, and it's interesting, when you look at the Texas borders and the immigration issue down there, when you look at the Haitians that came in, and what was done with, it's here, it's in everyday life, and you can't avoid it successfully. And I think our institutions have always been one of those safe harbors where students have felt that they could come and freely express their ideas and fairly freely have them, responded to in the affirmative. Again, society has it turned a little bit and we've become a little more conservative. And so that may make some of those conversations more difficult than we had thought they would be in the past. But I think we still need to have them. And for many boards, when I talk with them, I remind them that these are the folks that are coming to you. They're paying tuition. They're going to keep your doors open, and they're the largest number in the population at large. And we want them to be educated. We want them to understand how to survive in today's world. And ignoring them is not the way to do that. So it has been interesting. We've had some of those conversations on a small scale, but this one we're going to open up wide and see where we go.
Such an important conversation, and we really value your expertise and the service that you're doing on behalf of SACSCOC. So thank you so much for engaging with us and talking about this today.
It's my pleasure. Good luck to you.
Yes, thank you. It's been real interesting to talk to you and to learn a little bit more about what's going on with SACSCOC. So thank you for spending this time with us.
Anytime.
Thank you.